They have a shita that mashkin are midoraisa. Good morning, Rabbi Shmuel. Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Shimon say that mashkim midoraisa are mitam oichel but not kalim. So therefore, if it's a misafik, if it's not suffik, if it touched it, it's a suffik doraisa. Chumra, suffik the rabban lekulas. Therefore, la'oichlem tamein, la'kalim are tahayim. The rabbanon, of course, they do agree that that it's if it touches kalim, it's going to be tam. Okay. Amar Abba Bar Bachan.
The rabbanon they agree.
Right.
That if they touch
if Ivada touches kalim,
kalim is the raisa, even suffik.
Opposite.
The opposite.
Oichlim Tmeim. Right. The way we learnt it was in a brisa that talked about a suffix, and what you hold regarding a suffix teaches us.
The raisa.
The raisa. Therefore, we suffix it's tamei. Kalim tahirim.
Okay. So I have to figure out why we're differentiating.
Oh, so why? What's the chilik? Why are we differentiating? So Amar Rav Chana Reish Lakish. Rabbi Yossi b'shitas Rabbi Akiva Rabbi Amra. Rabbi Yossi said it in the shita of Rabbi Akiva, his Rebbe. That means the darish yitma yitame, right? That yitma has a connotation of also being mitame something else, right? And we'll see where. Not a boy, but you're in that day darish Rabbi Akiva. Chol kol icheres asher yipol mehem al teichoi. Right, so we're talking about a sheretz, and the pasuk is talking about a sheretz that falls into a kli cheres. V'chol kli cheres, asher yipol mehem el toichoi, kol asher b'soichoi yitma v'oisais yishbaro. Anything inside yitma, right? The sheretz falls into the kli, then anything in the kli will be tamei right now. Now he learns the word yitma to be yitame, which means now Ella, right? The Tanan, Bye Bye and Rabbi Akiva. On that day, it's that day that they all came in, right? Baybayim is the famous day that they made Rabbi Eliezer ben Azariah the Nasi because Rabbi Gamliel had a feud with Rabbi Yeshua. Well, that's a story in Masechta Brachos, right? But what? Right. So on that day, many decisions were made. So on that day, Darash Rabbi Akiva, v'chol kol yicharis asher yipol mehem l'teichoi, eino emir tamei el yitame acherem. Means it's even mitama something else. Limed al kikar sheni shayis shlishi b'chol. Oh, we'll see. But before we get there, the pshat in the pasuk is that the sheretz goes into the kli, right? And then the kli is mitam whatever the kli is, whatever's inside the kli. So the sheretz is an avatoma, the kli is a rishain, right? Sheretz avatoma, the kli is a rishain. The rishain, the kli is mitam is something in the oichlim in the kli. Kol asher b'soichoi, anything in the kli is tamei, becomes a sheni from the kli, and then the sheni could be mitam and make shlishi. Sheni, let's say it's food, whatever it is, food in. Well, the next words are b'kol oichel asher yeyochel b'chol asher yevoyel of mayim. Any food that is Puchshar, because mine came on it, will be tamei. Right, so we have one pasuk saying about oichel and one about mashke. Right, so we'll start with the oichel. I mean, that's what Rikiva is talking about. He's talking about the oichel. So you have the sheretz is avatuma, the kli is a rishain, the oichel is a sheni. Now yitma, which we're reading yitame, which means a sheni can make a shlishi. In order for the oichel to become tamei, it needs to have touched. It needs to have been huchshal kabel tuma. So it needs some sort of mashka that came on it, right? But it doesn't now. It doesn't need the mashka to give it over. No, it doesn't need to be wet now. No, it just needs to have been huchshal kabel tuma. Then, well, over here we're talking about a kli cheres. The pasuk is talking about a kli cheres. What? If what?
The tumor, whatever the source of tumor is, it has to be inside the can't touch it.
It doesn't touch the out. If it touches the outside, you mean it doesn't do anything. It has to go on the inside, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's what this case is?
No, so Rashi, no, this case, Let's say it went in. Let's say the sherets went in. The sherets went in,
Okay.
and then you took the sherets out. Let's say sherets went in, took the sherets out. Then you put food in. The food becomes tummy from the kli. And then you take the food, and the food touches something else.
Okay.
That's a shlishi.
Okay.
He makes a shlishi, right? No, Rashi brings in the fact that what kli cheres is mitama me'aviroi. But must be Rashi says it must be that we don't count that over here. That it's not mitami from aviroi, and then the pshat is that the oichel in the kli would be mitame directly from the sherets. It doesn't go from the sherets to the kli to the oichel. It's mitame directly from the sherets, right? So Rashi says it can't be the case that it's
mitame anything that's inside the kli.
Right, because
it's just suspended, right?
If it's just suspended, it's mitame everything, and it's not.
Including
the kli, no, but then it doesn't go through the kli.
The is not the kli, but the source
would be the sherets, right? Then Rashi says we can't be talking about that case, huh?
Yeah,
right. No, but how do we know? Maybe it's the sheni, right? And how does we keep bringing a proof that sheni makes the shlishi? That's the case.
Take it out, put the food in,
right. But Rashi proves it has to be the case when the sherets isn't still in there, because then if the sherets is in there, then it's even mitama kalim inside. Because the sherets is matama kli, right? And that Rashi says we know that if pasuk is for sure, right, for sure not true, that it's matama kalim.
Yeah. Talking about Rashi is not what doesn't matama kalim? Food can't matama kalim. Other than kalim are only matama from the rishon, right?
Yeah, no, but for some reason Rashi says it's impossible. But this pasuk can't be talking about. The pasuk can't be talking about avir, because then it would be mitama kalim, and kalim are mitama avir. Maybe I don't know. Rashi says it's more later on Daf Chof. We have to see. But Rashi does make that step. But either way. Rishon makes kalim, but if a sheretz touches a kli, yeah, a sheretz touches a cleats.
No, then the cleats are rishon.
Cleats rishon, right?
Cleats are rishon, but the cleat be a sheni.
Oh, a kli can't be a sheni. Okay, no, fine, but if the sheretz is in the kli cheres, and then there's another kli in the kli cheres, a cup in the kli cheres, so the sheretz would make the kli into a rishon, right? Not into a sheni, right? And Rashi says for some reason we can't be talking about that. We're talking. This situation sounds like only the food is becoming tamei. The pasuk's mashma only food becomes tamei here, not kalim. It's like when we see the pasuk, it's a situation where only food becomes tamei, not kalim are becoming tamei. Why aren't kalim becoming tamei? Must be we're talking about a case where the sheretz isn't still in there. It's just the kli that's making the sheretz wasn't there, made the kli a rishon. Then the sheretz is not here anymore, right? And therefore a kli cannot become tamei because the kli doesn't make a kli sheni. Kli makes food sheni, and then the food is yitame, right? So for some reason the Gemara understands that only food is tamei, and as the pasuk is mashma, only food. It doesn't say kalim become tamei. So again, must be that it's a situation where a kli can't become tamei. What's the situation that a kli can't become tamei? When the sheretz isn't there in the avir. If the sheretz is in the avir while everything is in there, should make everything tamei. Okay, I guess we'll see in Daf Chof that Gemara talks about it further. Okay, but either way, what we're left with over here is that sheni is Eiser Shlishi, b'chulin, right? The pasuk is talking about chulin over here because it never specified that it's kachim. Okay, v'hacha echidarish, right? And so therefore, in that pasuk, right, Rabbi Yossi also has a similar drasha regarding mashke. The first part of the pasuk is mikol oichel asher yochel asher yavol of mayim yitma, shmiz yitamei. So too, called mashke sheyishasa b'chol kli yitma. If you have a mashke in the kli, and the mashke goes ahead and becomes a sheni now from the kli, also yitma is being mitama something else to make a shlishi. So according to there, Rabbi Eliyahu goes and says, you see that it's mitama something, right? Now how do we know it's only eichel? Right, we'll have to see. So v'hacha echi darish, the Gemara says, how is he darshing over here? B'chol mashke sheyishasa b'chol kli yitma l'tamei tumas eichel. Maybe it's going to be mitama mashkin and not eichel. You know, it just says yitma, which you're learning to mean it's going to be mitama something else. But what? Maybe mashkin. You say no, loy kachaya. It's not the way it works. It's not the way it is. Not the way it was. Right? The Gemara says my loy kachaya. Rav Papa, what the rice means to say loy matim tuma she'oisek hayotzeba. We don't find tuma that makes something of the same exact thing tame. Meaning you never find Michael making Michael tame, Mashka making Mashka tame. So therefore, must be it's talking about not Mashka. Chol Mashka sheyishas l'chol kli yitma means it's going to be mitame oichel, not Mashka, because Mashka never makes Mashka tame. Because the same thing doesn't make itself another one of itself tame. Right? Call.
You could say yesterday for
What?
touched the oil.
Right. I had that kasha. I didn't see anyone talk about it, but right, that the nizid touches the yain touches the shaman. The only thing I could think of is it's by kachim or machmer or something. Right. Okay, that's a good kasha. Right, that yesterday the lechem touched the nizid touched. Right, so the lechem touched the nizid. Okay, that's Michael, and nizid is no eichel and eichel is not good either. So maybe nizid also is a problem. Maybe nizid has liquid in it. Maybe, you know, but the nizid to the yain, from the yain to the shaman, why is it tame? Isn't it mashkin touching mashkin? I hear. But over here the Gemara seems to say that it's a rule, right? That things aren't mitama the same thing. If it's oichel, it's not going to be mitama oichel. It's mashka, it's not going to be mitama mashka. So therefore, when we said in the beginning of the pasuk that the Michael is going to be mitama make shlishi, it's not talking about a Michael, right? It's talking about must be talking about a mashka. It's going to make a mashka tame, right? And in the end of the pasuk, when we talk about mashka and it says mitama, must be talking about oichel. Okay. That's Rav Papa limiting too much. Ravina Amar. From in and of itself, from the pasuk itself, you'll be able to deduce that we're not talking about tumas mashkin. If you think the end just means to be mitame tumas mashkin, and yitame the reisha nami the tame tumas mashkin. If you want to say both, the reisha and the sefer are both coming to be mitame tumas mashkin, meaning when it says that there's oichel is yitma and mashke is yitma, both mean tumas mashkin. So ni'arvinu v'nichtavinu, it should be all one pasuk together because the outcome is one thing. Basically, the way we have it is exactly like the Gemara just said, except for yitma in between. We have a yitma, right? So trei yitma lamali. Why do we need two yitmas? If both the case of oichel and the case of mashkin, the only thing they're going to be yitma is mashkin, means they're going to be yitma the same thing. So just say yitma once, and we'll know it's talking about the same thing, right? Ella, right? Now, how do we not know that it's talking about? Maybe both are talking about but Elamai, what is it? Elamai is talking about different things, right? And so they can't both be oichel, right? And they can't both be mashke, right? But maybe oichel's matama oichel, mashke is matama mashke. Meaning, why is Ravina saying it must be oichel's matama mashke and mashke is matama oichel, right? Maybe not. Very good. You have two yitmas, right? And therefore, the pasuk by Oichel and pasuk by Mashkin is talking about something else, right? But how do you know it's talking about the opposite? Maybe it's talking about the same thing, right? So Rashi says that Ravina does have a pasuk, which we'll see later on, Tamehu, which teaches you that he knows that food doesn't make food Tameh. And he knows, even though he's not using Rav Papa's Svara, right? Because if he's using Rav Papa's Svara, so you don't need what he's saying, right? Even though he's not using Rav Papa's Svara of limiting too much but he does have a pasuk that teaches you Michael doesn't make Michael Tameh, right? So therefore, he knows the first pasuk must be talking about Yitma means the Michael is Matame Mashke. Therefore, in the Seifa, it can't be talking about the Mashke is Matame of another Mashke, because then the two Yitmas would be saying the same thing. You could only have to say Yitma once, because the Eichel and the Mashke and the pasuk are both being Matame Mashke, right? Why do you say two Yitmas? The fact that the pasuk says two Yitmas must be that in the first part of the pasuk, the second part of the pasuk, the Yitma means a different thing. Yitma, the beginning means is the Michael is Matame Mashke, and then in the Seifa it's the Mashke that's Matame Michael, right? So that's why you need two different Yitmas. So Ella Yitma duration of Tamat Tumas Mashkin, Yitma the Seifa Tamat Tumas Eichel. Okay, the Ema the Tamas Akelim. Okay, now we're back to the kasha on Rabbi Yosi, right? Maybe it's Mitama Kelim, right? How do you know Kelim on in Mitama Midaraisa? Who told you that it's only talking about Eichel and Mashkin? Or says, well, the Lav Kabel Chomer was not a Kabel Chomer. Uma Klisha Mitama Mashke. If even a Kli that's Mitama Mashke, Ein Mitama Kli. A Kli cannot be Mitama Kli. Mashkin Haboin Machmas Kli. Mashkin, which have touched a Kli that's Tameh, and therefore they're Tameh, and additionally Tamus Akelim, is it not a Kavachomer for sure that it can't be Mitama the Kelim. Right? If you have Mashkin, you have a Kli that touched Mashkin, right? Now you want this to be Mitame, this Mashke, right? Kli that touched Mashkin, you want this Mashke to be Mitame, this Kli, right? Rabbi Yosi says no, it's only Mitame Oichel. It's not Mitame Kli, right? You know why? Because a Kli can't be Mitame a Kli, right? A Kli cannot be Mitame a Kli. Since a Kli can't be Mitame a Kli, you want to tell me that the Mashke that comes from this Kli could be Matama this?
The derivative be worse than the source.
It's the source of it, the one that's giving it to him. Sheretz touched this, right? Sheretz touched this. Now this is Tameh. The Kli is Tameh. If it touches the Kli, cannot make it Tameh, right? Now if it touches the Mashke could make it Tameh. It doesn't make sense. The Mashke is less than it, right? It's a step removed. How could that have the Koyach to Matama Kli? Special power is more than its source. So Makli Shemitama Mashke and Mitama Kli. Mashkin avoid machmas klin additionally tamus akelim. Well, says the Gemara, ve'ema kila mitamu mashkin avoid machmas kli. Then maybe only this type of mashkin is not tamei. It's not going to be mitama kelim. Avoid mashkin avoid machmas sheretz. Let's say a sheretz touches the mashkin directly. Let's say this is a sheretz and this is the mashkin touches the mashkin directly. So maybe then it is mitama kli. You have no proof from that, right? Mashkin avoid machmas mitamu. Where it says Mashkin Haboin Machmas Sheretz Mi Ksivi, is it said in the pasuk B'chlal that it's Tamei? No, the point is that it's learned from a Kavachomer. The Lav Kavachomer. It doesn't say B'ferish from the pasuk that a Sheretz is Matama Mashkin. We never found that. How do we know it's from Kavachomer? If a Sheretz is Matama Kli and a Kli is Matama Mashke, right? Like we'll see, the way we know that a sheretz is matama mashke is from a kavachomer. Ma mashke, the Gemara says, ma mashken aboin machmas kli, mashken that come because of a kli matamin, right? A sheretz touches a kli touches mashken the tame, mashken aboin machmas starts the kolshkein. Of course, if the sheretz touches it for sure, right? And therefore, dayoy lavoy minadin liyes kanidain. Right? We have a halacha in Hilchas. We have in Kavachomer a rule for Kavachomer is that you can't learn out more than the source, right? When we are learning that a sheretz is that mashkin are tamei, right? We're learning that a sheretz is matame mashkin from the fact that a sheretz is matame kli, the kli is matame mashkin, right? So the source is the kli that touched the mashkin. You want to learn from there, for sure, for sheretz such as a mashke. right? But you can't learn more than what the source can give you. The source can only give you that the mashkin is tamei and can be mitame oichel. You don't know that it's mitame akli, right? Because we just said that the kabel chamer is not mitame akli, right? So therefore, you can't learn that out till even to what you perceive as a higher level of Torah, because the sharet itself touched it, right? But still, you can't. You can learn out that it's tamei in as much as the mashkin that you're learning from, in as much as kli mash. If the kli touches the mashkin can be tamei la'oichel, right? But you can't learn out. Just like this kli can't be tamei another kli, this mashkin cannot be tamei another kli, right? So too, the mashka that actually touched the sheretz also can be mitam another kli, because da'ir lovim in adin liyos kanida. Okay. Yitma the reisha hechidarish. The Gemara says the yitma of the reisha to tell you that oichlem can be mitam mashkin hechidarish. How's it kibdarish? Says the Gemara. Mikol oichel asher oichel shevolay ma'im yitma. Yitma l'tamei samashkin, that the oichlem that touched the kli that touched the sheretz are now can be with Tama Mashkin. Maybe that's also talking Tama Kli, right? Same kasha we're having on Rabbi Akiva. Maybe it's talking about Kli. Amarti Kavachamer. Kavachamer. Ma Mashka shem Tama Oichel. Mashka that's Tama Oichel. Ain't Tama Kli. Like we just learned from Rabbi Akiva, right? The Mashka that's in Rabbi Yossi. Mashka that's Tama Oichel is still not Tama Kli. Oichel she'ena mitama oichel that cannot be mitama oichel and additionally mitama kli, right? Hamani mikayim yitma l'tamei mashkin she'hein alulin l'kabel tuma. Because anyway, mashkim are more susceptible. Alulin means they're more susceptible to kabel tuma, more prone to being kabel tuma, right? So in this shtickle we just said, why? How does Rabbi Akiva know that it's not talking about Kerem either? Right, the mashkim aren't talking about that. The first part of the pasuk that says that if food is it touches a kli which touched the sheretz, the food can be mitame something else. What can it be mitame? Rabbi Akiva decided that it's mitame mashkin. Says the Gemara, why? This said it's mitame oichlin. We know. We'll see in a second. That it's not mitame oichlin. The Gemara is going to darish in a second, but still maybe it's kalim, right? Maybe it's mitame kalim. It says no. We have a kabel chamer. If even mashkin can be mitame kalim, like Rabbi Yossi just proved, just like we had a kabel chamers in Rabbi Yossi a second ago, right? The mashkin can't be mitame kalim. Mashkin that came because of the kli can be mitame kalim, right? But mashkin could be mitame oichel, right? So oichel that can't even be mitame oichel, for sure that can be mitame kli. That's the kabel chamer. Now says the Gemara. So must be when the pasuk says yitma, which we learned yitame means that the oichel can be mitame mashkin and not. Now, adds the brayso mishum da'alul l'kabel tumah, because anyway, mashkin are prone to be kabel tumah. Well, says the Gemara, tefik mishum deleikim midachrini. Why do you need to say these words? My area, mashkin mishum da'alul l'kabel tumah. Why do you have to say that? Tefik mishum deleikim midachrina. There's nothing left. You excluded oichel because you hold that oichel can't be mitama oichel. You excluded kalim because of the kabel chomer from mashkin, right? So then, of course, it's right. So of course, all that's left is mashkin. That the pasuk could only mean that the Michael makes a mashka tameh, right? So then, what do you need to say the extra words? Because anyway, mashka not susceptible to kabel tumah. No, of course the pasuk is talking about that because there's nothing else to say it's tameh. Whereas Amar, oichel chamor l'mitame mashkin. Maybe you'll tell me no. Maybe you'll tell me that you can't bring a raya from oichel because oichel is chamor l'mitame mashkin. Oh, you said that oichel is chomer because it's mitame mashkin, right? And therefore, since oichel is more chomer, mashkin can't be mitame mashkin, right? But oichel is more chomer because it's mitame mashkin. So therefore, nitmai lekli make the as you're bringing me a raya that oichel is more kal. Why? Because if even oichel cannot be mitame oichel, but mashkin could be mitame oichel, right? So if mashkin that have that power to be mitame oichel still can't be mitame akli, oichel that can be mitame oichel for sure doesn't have the power to be mitame akli, right? So it says no. Maybe you'll tell me what are you talking about. Oichel has a different chomer. You can't learn from that because oichel also has one up on mashkin. The fact that oichel is mitame mashkin and mashkin can't be mitame mashkin, right? Don't use the fact that Eichel came from Eichel to show you that Mashke is stronger than Eichel. No, Eichel is stronger than Mashke because Mashke can't be with time of Mashke, but Eichel could be with time of Mashke, right? So what type of Kavachomer is that? Therefore, it should be able to be Mitama Kli, right? How Chomer de Mashkin, right? That is just a Chomer that we have by Mashkin. Yishum de Mashkin Alul Kabel Tuma. You know why Eichel has the power to be Mitama Mashkin? Is because Mashkin anyway are Alulin the Kabel Tuma. They're anyway prone to Kabel Tuma. Therefore, it's not right. It's not because Eichel is more Chomor. It's not because Eichel is stronger. No, it's just because Mashkin are more susceptible to Kabel Tuma. Right? Yishum de Mashkin Alul Kabel Tuma. What? My hiali lesson Yishum Kabel Tuma should be hechsher because they're Kabel Tuma without hechsher. Eichel to be Mekabel Tuma needs hechsher. Mashkin don't need hechsher. So in that way, a mashke is much more prone to be Mekabel Tuma.
The leader, it's built in.
Right, exactly. Yitma, the Ein Isaac HaYotzeba. Right, that the pasuk of Yitma, Rabbi Akiva is using the Ein Isaac HaYotzeba to mean that it's not mitama its own thing, right? This is where Rav Papa told us before, right? That from the fact the pasuk doesn't say yitame, it doesn't actually say yitame, it says yitma. That teaches you that it doesn't just make anything tame, right? It has to be something else. And from here we know that Michael is not mitama Michael, right? Michael is not mitama Michael. In the beginning of the pasuk, is not talking about Michael. Why? Because ein Isaac HaYotzeba. Yitma is ein Isaac HaYotzeba. From the fact it doesn't say Yitame, it says Yitma. It's a miyut. It's saying it's only mitama is something else, not the equal thing, not Michael. Not it can't be mitama something like itself, not like Michael. Says the Gemara, you know this from a different pasuk. It says the pasuk when water is put on zera, on grain. Then the nevela of a sheretz falls on tamei hu, and we learn who tamei ve'noisei tum asay tuma kayotzeba. It's tamei, and it's not going to make the same exact thing like itself tamei. Meaning, right? If it's oichel, it's not going to make oichel tamei, right? And that you learn from tamei hu. Well, the Gemara says, well, you know why you need both? You need chad b'mashkin aboyin machmas sheretz, chad b'mashkin aboyin machmas kli. Right? You need one to tell me that one to teach me that when mashkin do become tummy because of a sheretz, it can't make mashkin tummy. And not only right, and then you need another person to teach me the other type of mashkin doesn't make mashkin tummy. Right? We're trying to learn out right that ein tuma Isaac HaYotzeba. Tuma doesn't make equal type of tuma. It doesn't make the same thing. If it's a mashka, it's not going to make a mashka tummy. If it's a meichel, it's not going to make a meichel tummy, right? And the Gemara says we have two psukim. We have Yitma and we have Tamei Hu. What do you need both of them? Well, the Gemara says there's two types of mashkin which might become tummy, right? Mashka that touched the sheretz and mashma that touched the kli that touched the sheretz, right? So therefore we need both psukim. One to tell me the mashkin aboyin machmas sheretz cannot be mitama mashka, and one that tells me mashkin aboyin machmas kli doesn't need can't be mitama mashkin. Utzrichi the Gemara says you need both. The Yashmin mashkin aboyin machmas kli mishum b'loich mir. It's not chomer because it came from a kli. They came from a sheretz. It's two steps removed. Aval mashkin aboyin machmas sheretz came directly from a sheretz tichmiri. Ema oiset tumakayitz by saying maybe you could even make other mashkin tmeim. Well, says Gemara, if so, l'shmi'in and mashkin aboyin machmas sheretz, all you have to tell me is mashkin aboyin machmas sheretz. That's the higher level. The higher level, the kolshkin mashkin aboyin machmas kli won't be able to mitam other mashkin. Why do you need both? Well, the Gemara says milsa the asip b'kal v'chomer torach v'kasav lakra. Famous rule that even though you can learn at b'kal v'chomer, the Torah still writes it. Okay, but either way, it's teaching you two separate things. One by this mashka and one by that mashka, right? And that's how you know that a mashka cannot be mitam a mashka and a meichel cannot be mitam a meichel. Okay, we'll stop here. We'll the end after. We'll just continue tomorrow. Let's just continue tomorrow. Yeah. Okay, shkoyach.